This week on the Rental Report Review. A man never forgets, a man pays his debts. The Yakuza, 1974. He has trained every thought, every muscle, every nerve for the moment of truth. The Challenge, 1982. The spirit, so willing. The flesh, so weak. The romance, so wonderful. The Ghost and Mrs Muir, 1947. The story, set in Kansas during the 1920s, covers less than a year in the life of a black teenager and documents the veritable deluge of events which force him into sudden manhood. The Learning Tree, 1969. Unlock the secrets of your darkest desires. Your vice is a locked room and only I have the key. 1972.
The Yakuza, described as the mafia of Japan.
1974 Robert Town, 1974 Paul Schrader, 1974 Sidney Pollack. This should have been right up there with Chinatown and The Conversation. Instead, 3 of the hottest hotshots to ever hotshot, at least 2 out of 3. Half cook, 3/4 cook, an industrial ham slathered with a needless, stodgy glaze of expositional Orientalism.
There's one thing you can do they can't. Really?
This film should be crackling. It should be incendiary, transgressive even. But it just feels old-fashioned? I mean, here's the thing. The film takes so much time and effort to carefully and semi-accurately describe Japanese culture as it pertains to the story, and underworld codes of honor and action, etc., etc. Yes, there are some really cool genre conventions of Yakuza films, but they're just gangster films. There's virtually nothing that needs to be explained. Pausing every sequence or so for a culture corner just sucked all the juice out of the picture. At least do it in a walk and talk, or racing down the highway, or on the bullet train. Look, there's a fantastic weave of town, missing persons, and double cross fake-outs. There's a thump of Schrader, honor, and fatalism, and boss-base infiltration. And Sidney Pollack is doing whatever it is that Sidney Pollack adds to these things. He tends to be pretty good in wrangling the romance part of these things. Mitchum is there. Ken Takakura, scene stealing perfect.
That's a lie.
Keiko Kishi is great, but her character needed much more to do than sit around waiting for dudes to make the plot move. I give the Yakuza 1974 3.5 stars. This might be harsh, by about 1/4 of a star maybe. I think we were robbed. They needed to do some sort of development recon. Send someone to Tokyo and snatch up screener prints of the hottest Yakuza films of this era. I mean, Fukusaku is popping off at this moment. Sure, this genre is flooding the market and it's choked by paltry programmer budgets, but they are lightning bottles of free cinematic expression. It just makes this look more like a British costume drama than part of the new Hollywood enfant terrible. Shame! But it is worth checking out, and then checking out some concurrent Japanese releases. As Marie Barty notes, it's well worth sticking around for the denouement. 70s Tokyo, when they go outside, I giggle. I would love to know what the behind the scenes on this whole thing was. Genesis and all. I think the disc had some stuff, but I already returned it. Oh well.
He's an American. He's 5,000 miles from home, caught in a war between 2 brothers.
I'm 0 for 2 here on the fish out of water American crime film set in Japan double feature I got going. I wanted to love this. I came primed to love this. I've been going down a bit of a haphazard John Frankenheimer run here, very quickly becoming one of my favorite directors, absolutely S-tier echelon on action directing. I don't know it, but this one feels meddled with, or second-guessed to death. It's not quite high concept, or is apologetically so. There's no clear subgenre. Is it a heist film, a Yakuza film, a samurai film, a revenge film, a spy film? Kind of, not really. Calvin Young's Ando wanders through more as a narrative Greek chorus trying to stitch disparate genre threads together than coherent, wisecracking, face-spitting, kneecapping character. He knows and explains everything, but makes every wrong decision and consistently fails in his missions to the point where he should be outright mistrusted or terminated for espionage and sabotage. And Scott Glenn, God bless his dopey penis haircut, a couple of decades before Javier Bardem was oh so brave in No Country for Old Men. He has all the right earnestness and believable American working class disarming rugged individualism, but it's totally wasted in a senselessly contradictory character. Look, can the guy fight or not? It kind of really matters here. Why isn't this film actually about him?
Exactly the same thing.
The challenge.
Toshiro Mifune gives his character and the movie way more gravitas than it earned, but in a way that bums me out. That's what it is. This movie just bums me out. I give The Challenge 1982 3.25 stars.
You come and get it.
You can put a pig in a suit, but you can't keep it from grunting. Right structure, wrong scenes. The training progression montage was bullshit. There are some really fun Frankenheimer action and fight sequences. I mean, but what are we polishing here?
In The Challenge.
And no matter how hard this trailer tries to sell it, it's not a good title. Mankiewicz is so good at desire, longing, envy. I mean, what am I saying? I've seen like 3 things now, but each one casually invited themselves into my heart and made themselves at home as if they knew me, as though they've always lived here, even before I did. This and the others I've seen are about larger-than-life, mythic, and here supernatural figures that he grounds in interpersonal relationships and the wants and the needs and the foibles and flaws and sins we all have, while keeping a theatrical distance, playing on the English language, flirtation through tete-a-tete. He's better on character-driven scenes and gets through plot structure. Jean Eliza Tierney. I'm watching everything. Yes, I am hotly in love with her, but her reservoir of talent is deeper and more complicated than a Murakami well. I buy her hook, line, and sinker every moment. I wish the movie allowed her to play out the narrative tease with memory, but I could watch her stare out a window all day. I give The Ghost and Mrs Muir 4.25 stars. The score. Yeah, I can hear why Bernard Herrmann allegedly listed this as one of his own favorites, and even if he didn't, he should have.
Leave my bedroom as it is, and I promise not to go into any other room in the house.
I put this in the Blu-ray player a good hour to 2 before I actually hit play, and the looping score just got me more and more hyped to start it, and still hit hard when the first cue comes up. My mom loved this film, and while I don't want to psychoanalyze her, I think I can see what she's into. The pull of love, the full pull, is beyond the corporeal. It's a strong tide that pulls out to the infinite depth, something like that.
You are the most forward gentleman I have ever encountered.
It is kind of funny how touch fulfills the whole thing.
Not a minute I would have.
Daniel, I believe you're jealous.
This feels like it could have imprinted on David Lynch, on Tim Burton. Not just the aesthetics, but the connection in spite of some tremendous cosmic risk. Rex Harrison as the Little Devil, Charles Lang on the optics and emulsion. Some really cool and dreamy expressionistic shit, cut with some no-fuss California coast salt-sprayed daytime exterior. Balances it well on this side of studio shedding.
This is Gordon Parks, successful and honored photojournalist.
Gordon Parks, inseparable to me with Imagemaker, one of my favorite photographers, but someone who I know appallingly little about. I am a true product of America, make no doubt about that. I am somehow, just now, being called to his movie work. I've had the odd Shaft recommendation here and there, but I think his tour was so compact and the availability so limited, he just slips out of the conversation.
The Learning Tree. And now, Gordon Parks has returned to the town where he lived it, and there made that story into a motion picture.
3 for 3 masterworks of their respective genres, all searching for context, emotional context, a heart often wrestling with the mind. with some no bullshit alive realism, and some conversation with the photochemical tradition of image making itself. I'm gonna set the veracity of the story aside for a second. As a movie, as a narrative, The Learning Tree kind of dully named for something so riveting, surprising. I cannot underscore enough how fully engaging this was. I laughed, I winced, I cheered, I braced. I shook my head in awe at many of the shots, but even more so with the tiny moments of life Parks orchestrates into pivotal, frank life events that hit hard. Not because of the aesthetics, they're there, but because of the unflinching, bare, fair, brutal truth he's capturing, he's communicating. As a biopic, it works best when it lavishes in Buñuel, Bergman, Kurosawa, dreamy, feely sequences, when he goes meta and engages in conversation with the wider canon of image making writ large. When it stretches into premature Lumet thrillers, it crackles. It strains a bit of credulity, but he always pays it off with a spin that at least rings true. I give The Learning Tree 4.5 stars.
I come to get what you owe me. Now, come on, Gene, give it to me.
Kyle Johnson is Newt. I'm not sure how many of these kids are sides of Parks, but I guess the retelling of anything and anyone is our individual transjection of it. But yeah, Johnson is no pushover. You can feel his sense of empathy and fairness and eagerness.
Are we gonna live here all our lives?
Well, I hope you won't have to live here all your life. It's not all good place. Not all bad place either. Sort of like fruit on a tree. Some good, some bad. Understand?
You've got to get the fuck out of town that Parks also did the goddamn music here. The music is insane. It's a classical score. It's an experimental score. It's a somewhat jazzy score. It's wild, and the tonal juxtaposition in some scenes, I don't know, it makes me think of Contempt.
Bring him up! Order! Order! Hey, champion, how about singing us a song?
My baby's gone, all off and gone. Took a rag in an old gunny sack. My baby's gone, my baby's gone, my baby's gone, my baby's gone.
For this to be his first feature, that's pretty insane.
My baby's gone, my baby's gone, my baby's gone, my baby's gone.
I still don't love Giallo, but I keep coming back to the well. I want these to work for me. I don't know why they don't work for me. I think there's a certain, we'll make it up as we go along and put it together in the bay, don't worry about it, we'll get plenty of inserts, looseness that I don't know if they don't seem to care about making it, why should I care about watching it? Because they know they have style, and they know they've got hot chicks and hunks and slime balls, and they'll put any appendage on screen in any act of pleasure or duress. Just a story and consistent characters, please. Everything I love here is Edgar Allan Poe. I love the filter through some post-fascist bourgeois nihilistic ennui. It works, but Poe keeps all the twists and turns on a semi-firm psychological foundation. I give Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key 1972, I give it a high 3.5 stars. I think, sensing its broader market potential, it pulled an awful lot of punches. It has all the lewd, taboo eroticism and graphic ECU violence, but it's all flat. Everything is flat. The lighting, the depth of field, the temperament. This week, my weekly pick of the week is, I actually had these swapped until just the last minute, surprising even myself. My heart goes with The Ghost and Mrs Muir. It's a bit odd and uneven, but that's also part of what makes it so attractive. What was I saying? This week's bonus feature is The Learning Tree. I think the only reason I'm not shouting about it this week is that it's a bit dense. It's propulsive, but it's a packed hour 47. Pay attention. I mean, you can relax and watch it. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram and X to see what movies I'm renting next, and pretty much everything is on my letterbox. I am going to go watch some more movies. I hope you do too. Very well.